Hiya, I'm ThatJaymsWisdom, and this is And Another Thing, and today I'm going to be talking about the Valleyfolk. Hello everybody, and welcome to And Another Thing. This is where I talk about stuff that's happened in pop culture and in the news and in current affairs type stuff on a sort of every other week basis. And today is going to be a very short video. I don't have a lot to talk about today. I am planning on trying to make this very much more a current affairs-y type thing, where I talk about big stories in the news or big pop culture news stories or whatever, you know, like a mix of stories, whether they're like local news, global news, pop culture news or stuff like that. I'm going to try and make this a little bit more about that than what I've been doing, which is just talking about random things. Now, we haven't had a lot happen in the last week or so since the Logan Paul thing, which I talked about in The Naked Truth. So I don't have a lot really to talk about there. I'd like to say thank you to Richard for the responses to those videos or to the videos that I've been doing recently. Nice to have a kind of an opinion coming back at me as well, which is really nice. So thank you very much for your response videos there. As I said, today what I'm going to talk about is the new channel from Lee Newton, Elliot Morgan, Joe Beretta and Steve Zaragoza, the Valleyfolk. So they are starting a new YouTube channel, and this is quite important to me. It might not seem like something that's worth making a whole video about, regardless of how short it is, but they are the people that got me personally into YouTube when they were on SourceFed, and Trisha as well. Those five are kind of the people that got me into YouTube in the first place, when I was just sat at my girlfriend at the time's house in her flat. We were watching Tabletop with with John Green on it. So it was John Green and these guys, and I'm like, I really enjoyed that. I'm going to go watch more, and I went and watched more Tabletop. And then started to subscribe to John Green as well. So it was very much a case of, okay, I'm now getting into YouTube, and then from there, it was those people that got me into watching other channels. You know, whether they were because I saw, let's say for example, Matt Pat on React channel with the hosts of with Lee Newton and Elliot Morgan or whoever it was, with some of the hosts of SourceFed were on there. So I'm like, well, I'll check that out because the hosts are on there. And then I discovered other people on there that I thought sounded quite interesting or seemed like they had interesting channels. And so, you know, SourceFed is this thing that everything blossomed out from for me in terms of YouTube. And the reason I make these YouTube videos is because, you know, I followed Trisha from SourceFed, and I wouldn't have really even had any understanding that this is the kind of thing that existed on YouTube without them. So for me, YouTube had always been, previous to that, somewhere where you went to find tutorial videos on how to do stuff. That was what its purpose was. If I needed to learn something, that's where I would go, and I would go and look for that kind of thing. Or you could find those kind of memified cat videos and things. But when I was growing up, you'd find those on other places more prevalently, and YouTube was very much the place you would go to find some educational content. Really, it was you know, tutorial videos on how to use software or how to do a thing on your computer or whatever. And that was what YouTube was to me until I discovered these people, and then it was something like, oh, there's this whole other part to YouTube, like a YouTube community where this stuff exists, and that's eventually what ended up with me doing these kinds of videos. So as I say, these kind of videos will you know, continue to do this through to 2018, but I am going to be busy in 2018. I've got lots going on just immediately into 2018. We're not even at the end of January yet, and I've got loads of things coming up and lots of things to do and all the rest of it. So I'm going to be busy. I'm going to continue doing this channel, but it's just nice to have this knowledge that this channel Valleyfolk, with these people that I really appreciate existing, this comedy channel is going to be there just as something to watch, something to enjoy, and something to watch grow through 2018 hopefully. So I'm looking forward to it, and I have subscribed to them on Patreon. I have gone and given them a little bit of money on Patreon, which is very, very small amount, like $2 a month or $3 a month or whatever it ends up being. And I'm doing the same for Philip DeFranco as well, actually, for his DeFranco Elite or whatever it is thing, where I'm giving them a bit of money just to support those channels, because those channels are great, and I encourage you to go and check them out. If you haven't seen any of the SourceFed hosts, go and check out their other content as well. And then maybe decide whether you want to watch the Valleyfolk and whether you want to support them on Patreon as well. There's a bunch of perks. I'm not super interested in perks and things, like, great, I'd love to go to one of your shows, but chances are that's not going to work for someone that lives in the UK unless I want to buy tickets to go. But either way, I think it's great. I'm looking forward to it. And that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. Next week, I have an idea of what I'm going to talk about in The Naked Truth, and that is going to be more opinion-y type stuff and less pop culture stuff, because I've started to kind of almost merge these two video styles together, where The Naked Truth and Another Thing are pretty much just whatever I want to talk about, and one week I'm naked and the other week I'm not. And so I'm going to try and split them up again. So this, and Another Thing is all about news, pop culture, and things that are going on in the world, whereas The Naked Truth will be my opinion on a particular subject or a particular topic, and that might be related to things that are going on in the world, but it won't be about the stories specifically. So I'm going to try and do that. As I say, I'm busy, so we'll see how quickly I get to it and how easy it is for me to actually do the kind of research I need to talk more in-depthly about pop culture, news, and the news in the real world. But we'll see how it goes. I will see you next week for another video. Keep smiling. Thank you very kindly, and I'll see you then. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I have left a link down below if you want to go and check out the Valleyfolk Patreon and their first video. So check that out in the doobly-doo, as they call it. And I will see you next week.